Hello and welcome to another episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gummany. Get ready for some laughs and inspiration as Erica takes us on a journey to find the kindness and light in everyday places. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Erica Gummany.
Hi everybody, this is Erica Gummany. Welcome to another episode of The Funny Kind. Today we're having another segment of Erica Squared with my friend Susan Rabe, who is the CEO and Executive Director of the Conservancy for Heritage and Healing in Franklin, Wisconsin. Susan, thanks for being with me today.
You bet.
I feel like I've known you forever, and this is only our second time.
It?
I don't know.
It's like...
I know it's weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird, but I'm so glad that you're with us today. And I live here in Franklin, Wisconsin, South Side. I'm certainly aware of this area. And it wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I came back here and I saw this beautiful building. And then there's all these amazing trails, which I just discovered. And it's such a beautiful property that we have here in Franklin. And I wanted to connect with you as we talk about, uncovering kindness and light in the world is the whole point of the Funny Kind video podcast that we're doing. And I think about this property and it feels so positive and it feels so good. And so like I can feel the spirit here. So tell us about this beautiful place.
So where do I start? It actually started with a vision from the Felician sisters back in the late 90s. So we have the medical building here on 74th and Rawson. It's the Ascension Professional Medical Building, but back when it was built, this property is part of St. Francis Hospital.
Oh.
And back then, 90s, the Felician sisters owned and operated St. Francis Hospital.
Sure.
So they expanded that hospital to Franklin. Think about how the corner of the intersection of 76th and Rawson was 20, 25 years ago. Now what it is today.
Right.
But they
it's a thoroughfare.
Right.
It's a
downtown
happening,
Franklin.
cool place. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was their vision to bring medical services here to Franklin. And in the late 90s, they wanted to add a cancer center and healing garden. So that's how this all started. The Felician sisters had the idea. This is what they wanted. So obviously the cancer center was built. So a lot of things happen, as we know life goes. Sometimes these things really aren't coincidences. They actually are meant to be. And the ability for this property in the woods to be acquired sort of came to the surface. So it was the combination of the board of the hospital and the Felicians, obviously, because they did own the hospital here. They agreed we need to build the healing garden, and so the Conservancy was formed. The healing garden, back then, that was really popular. Hospitals, medical facilities. Sure. It was like, that part of the parking lot's not being used, let's make a healing garden. But there's real science behind healing gardens, and there's real evidence of the benefit of a healing garden, nature connection space. Yeah. So it wasn't unfounded. It wasn't like, let's just have a pretty garden. No, we need this space for the cancer patients and their families and friends to re-energize, restore, regenerate, recuperate.
Yeah.
Everything that... Reconnect. Yeah. Exactly. So that's how we were founded. And so that vein or thread of what the Felicians wanted and what subsequently Wheaton sisters came, because Wheaton Franciscan acquired the Felicians Hospital, and then of course they acquired a lot. So their touch continued, and one of their tenets of their mission is care of creation, conservation, the environment. So it was all really kind of perfect.
So there's just been a lot of holy hands
completely
in this space, which just makes sense because you can feel this peaceful energy here.
Well, think of how blessed this land has been.
Mm,
Capital B, small b.
mm.
The land's been blessed. The Ryman family,
So generous.
so generous. So they were the lead gift for the cancer center, which is why it's the Ryman Cancer
Mhm.
Center. They wanted to add to the healing garden a healing chapel.
Hmm. And this is such an incredibly beautiful building. It is so
It is
cool.
so special.
It is. It feels very sacred.
Everybody who comes in says the same thing.
Hmm.
What is it about the way I feel when I'm in here?
Hmm.
The main thread through all of it was a space connecting people to nature
Yeah.
and the healing power and what it gives back.
Hmm.
And
That's
so,
wonderful. To be able to just take a quick jaunt on lunch if you're working from home or you're just feeling run down, and whether it's a real health concern or just a mental break that you need,
emotional.
yeah, you can just walk through this space and feel kind of filled back up again.
The Conservancy in general, our hours are sunrise, sunset. The Healing Chapel, though, has different hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay. Tell me more about you. We have a lot of connections that we know similar people, but we've
Sure.
also been blessed to have worked in the health benefits industry. What a blessing. Capital B, little b blessing
Yes.
to work in health insurance stuff.
Yeah.
But you've had a really amazing career in corporate America,
Yeah.
and then you started a journey onto nonprofit. And I'm wondering, I know that we have a spiritual connection, and I'm
Yeah.
curious about your journey to kindness and light and doing something different than just a career, a job.
Sure. So I am by education and the majority of my career in healthcare risk management, HR benefits, insurance, and worked for some amazing organizations with some of the best people. But it was about, I'm trying to think, 2006, 7, 8. I really was starting to kind of not like what I was doing. So I thought, oh, I'm in a mid-career crisis. So I hired a couple executive coaches, went through executive coaching programs. And it was really interesting because one of the coaches wanted me to, at the end of every day, write down what I did in the day. Didn't matter what it was. That really charged me up. It was always my volunteer time. And at the time I was on the board of Children's Hospital, a couple other boards, volunteering on things. And it was always kind of like, interesting. So I did some prayerful thinking, and I remember I always took the week off between Christmas and New Year's. And it was that week that I came to the conclusion, nope, I'm done. I want to go into mission-driven work instead of stock Wall Street work. Not that I didn't love what I did. I loved what I did,
It was
but
just
it
time
just
for
was
a
time.
change.
Yeah. So I spent almost a year investigating, networking. I can lead a business. I can grow a business. I'm good with people. I think I'd like to do that for a nonprofit. So it took about a year for me to transition. But did I get a lot of no? You don't have the experience, because I didn't come from nonprofit.
Right.
And that's, something I think has changed. But back then it was, you kind of have to come from that world. But I was persistent, and I kept going, and I found my first nonprofit leadership job. And now that's kind of interesting because that was for the St. Joseph Basilica Foundation. Not that I was looking for an opportunity in the church, but here's where it's. My mother grew up on 5th and Lincoln, went to school at the grade school there, which isn't standing anymore because it's the parking lot, cleaned the church, cleaned the votive candles. My aunt and uncle got married there. I mean, so like St. Josephat is in my blood.
Yeah.
So it was such an honor to build that business up to the point where the Basilica was the #1 tourist attraction.
Oh,
in
wonderful.
Milwaukee. Quite a bit of support, brought people to the city. It's an important part of Milwaukee's history. But the board there who hired me, at this time, they're also starting this conservancy project. So I would hear about it. And I'd hear about it at board meetings. They'd kind of sprinkle it in. And I'm like, interesting. That's kind of cool. See where that goes. Eventually, as I felt I had reached the pinnacle of what I could do, and I want a new challenge. And timing had layered perfectly. And they said, why don't you come over and grow? So now it was time to raise the money to finish the project that the Felician sisters originally had planned. Just before that, I had gotten very sick. And so I didn't really know what was happening with me. Nobody had answers. I was getting worse and worse. All they would tell me is, you're going to get worse, and there's nothing we can do for you. And I would say, well, that's not true, because God made our bodies to heal. They're self-healing machines. So something is in the way of my body being well. Why is it sick? What's going on? So
it's that risk management training that you have.
Yeah.
That's so funny. You're like assessing yourself.
Problem solved. So the mission of the Conservancy, why we were founded, what we do, was so in line with what was happening for me. How nature got me sick. So part of what I have is Lyme. So nature made me sick, but I knew nature could heal me.
Wow. It's like God was preparing you for what you were going to be experiencing and making sure you were in a safe place. That's amazing.
Well, as I was getting sicker and sicker, I couldn't stand. I remember one morning in the shower, the shower's a torture chamber, to stand in the shower, the water touching my body, getting out. I could barely stand in front of the sink mirror. And I would say to God, take me. I can't go on, or get me out of this and show me the way out. And don't get me subtle. I need a boulder. And so I paid attention. I paid attention to every conversation I had, everything I read. I was constantly researching, trying to figure out what's behind what I'm feeling. I've told people breadcrumbs, and I just followed them. Or they were rays of hope for me. Yeah. Okay, follow that. Dead end. Okay, did it. I know. Keep going. I mean, it would be, I remember a conversation that a volunteer for me at the foundation said, oh, my friend was so sick, and she went to this dentist, and he saved her life. And what's interesting about that comment is, I kept coming back to mercury. I had 36 fillings in my mouth, and mercury is a neurotoxin, and I'm having nervous system is dying on me. And I thought, that's not God. Is that a big breadcrumb? Is that a ray? Yeah. What am I to do with this? So if you should talk to my friend, I'll talk to your friend. And that's how things went. Wow. And that led me, kept bringing me. And that was like just a tiny speck of hope. Yeah. Each time I followed.
Would you say that because you were consciously aware of these signs, these rays, these breadcrumbs, that you saw them, and don't you think, like, how many times have I missed them? Because I've been on my phone, or I've been multitasking. Ooh, yeah. It's like God is in the silence. Right. You know?
It's the gut check too.
Yeah.
If you feel it in your gut, then you know. Yeah. It's so important for us to connect with ourselves. And we no, that person's going to help me, and that's going to help me. And that's true. But if it doesn't come from you first, you won't find the right people or the right things. I'm still healing. I'm not where I want to be, but I am not as sick as I was. Yeah. I can feel every day. Every day a cell is healing. That's what I say to myself, like, okay, I'm not feeling real good right now, even as we sit here. But I know that I'm doing all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm glad that you're doing better. Thank God that you're doing better.
me too.
I mean, oh my goodness, what a story of
I
perseverance.
barely touched it, but
I'm sure we could probably have, I'm sure there's a book coming called Breadcrumbs at some point. You know, who knows? But thank God that you heard that cry, and or you cried out and he heard you and you connected. And I'm just grateful that you're okay and that you're continuing on your healing journey.
yes, and I'm sharing it more. I
Mm.
kept it all to myself because I thought, oh,
Mm.
I would hear, well, everybody's got issues.
People feel embarrassed about it. They don't want to talk about it. They're hidden.
If I can come through it, we can bring people through it. And that's really, I hope, what's the feel that people get when they come to the Conservancy.
To be able to have this space
Yep.
is so beautiful. And the fact that you're here and that you can empathize with what these people are going through because of the hell that you went through is making you so, like, that's not on a resume. Oh, went through hell and back, so I can empathize with people. You don't put that on a resume.
Yeah.
But you can you can sit with people in their pain in a way that you couldn't have done 10 years ago.
Right. Faith. Oh, I can look back, Erica, and go, didn't really have a lot of faith my whole life. Went to church, of course, yep. But I really didn't have faith. This has been part of the reason, I believe.
Wow.
It is bringing me back.
So your
to God,
suffering
to
is
faith.
bringing you closer to God?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Because what else do you have?
Yeah.
What else did I have?
Yeah.
Having faith in my body, having faith in the Creator who created me and wouldn't let me hang out to dry.
Like, the beauty of suffering is that you can see each other. It's like the veil is lifted. Like, I see you.
You see the suffering in somebody, but you see the ray of hope out.
So when we were thinking about rays of hope, I was looking in the Bible, and there's a chapter in the Bible called Lamentation. And there's a scripture that says, yet there is one ray of hope. His compassion never ends. It is only the Lord's mercies that have kept us from complete destruction. Great is his faithfulness. His loving kindness begins afresh each day. My soul claims the Lord as my inheritance. Therefore, I will hope in him. And I just thought, how funny is it that we're having this? And,
Yeah.
I always feel like God always puts those little connections. And you're
Yes.
like when you meet somebody, when I met you,
Yeah.
and I was telling Susan that what I was thinking about places I wanted to connect with in the funny kind, this was right on top of the list, because I'm like, there's just something about it. And then to meet you, and we're bawling and laughing, hysterical. Like, we went from laughter to tears is our favorite emotion. And we had such a good time.
Yeah.
And we're having such a good time. And it's like, this is the connections that God brings to us if we pay attention. And to be that for each other and not to be so self-focused. Like, that's my hope in the funny kind. I don't even know what I'm doing.
We need you.
Well, we need each other.
Yes, but
And every person that I bring on here, whether I have funny, silly videos, which are great because I love laughing.
yeah.
But then I love these deep conversations because I'm like, I just refuse to think that it's all crap.
Yeah, I know. So for me, I'm like, okay, yep, that's all happening. But I'm in charge of me.
What can I do?
What can I do? Right. So, this place, the Conservancy, is just the polar opposite of what's going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And more people are coming.
Right.
More and more people are finding out. More and more people are being transformed in whatever way that is supposed to happen for them.
Yeah. And I think about the people who are looking for the breadcrumbs and are still struggling. There are certainly a lot of people in pain right now, but this is a place that people can come together and connect and feel a moment of reprieve.
Yes. Let a brick go on the wall that you have around your heart, yourself, your soul.
That's really beautiful.
It's slowly knocking down those walls so that faith can come in. And that's where hope is.
Oh my gosh. And look for those rays of hope, because they're right there. If you open your eyes, you can see them.
Yes. And it can come in a person, in a conversation. It can be a song. But I find nature so hopeful.
Can you give us maybe a story about someone that you've talked to? I'm sure you have a million.
Well, two that just popped into my head.
I love it.
There was a gal. We have a quarterly group here, Soul Circle. And there was a gal that I had met in the chapel. I was working here, and she came in, and she's a music teacher for MPS, and she had been diagnosed, I believe, for the third time with cancer. Started with breast cancer. And she was so scared. I would be too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, for sure.
She played the harp. And
oh my gosh.
She said to me, would it be okay if I came one day and brought my harp and played in the chapel? It would be my therapy. And I said, sure. Go.
Tell me when you're going to be here so I can come.
Right. She ended up coming to one of our soul circles and played. And she had written me a note after and said, you have no idea, this helped me more than chemo and radiation. I have not been in touch with her, but I think of her all the time.
Yeah.
Like, really, you gave to us and you got something back. So that's amazing. There's another woman that comes, and she actually came to our gala last year for the first time. And we got to be friends after that, and she had cancer. She ended up taking a really bad turn for the worse post-treatment and found out about us and was coming every day, sitting right on the bench, right out there looking out at the waterfalls. And it has changed her life. I'm not going to, I mean, she could tell the story way better than me.
Right.
She's almost a daily visitor. Her comments to me are, you have no idea what this place has done for me. It has
so awesome.
Brought me back from where I was. She lived, she's here, and now she has a whole new renewed spirit of, I got some work to do. But coming to the Conservancy has been the big part of changing her. You know, you talk about soul healing. For her, yes. I mean, think back. What if the board of the hospital at the time, 98, 97, 1998, 97, like that's like 25 years ago. What if they hadn't said, we're not going to give up? It took a long time to get here, but it's here. And then we wouldn't be helping that woman. And to know that we have protected these 36 acres from ever being developed. I mean, that is talk about caring for creation.
Right. And if you wouldn't have made that, you personally wouldn't have made that adjustment in your career.
I guess, and
you would have listened to people saying, no, you don't have the experiences, and you wouldn't have taken that risk. Who knows? And I feel like there's people, so many people I know right now who are feeling this feeling of like, there's something, I need to do something. There's something, and I feel like God is calling people. Tapping.
Are you listening? Are we listening?
Are we listening? And when you go to a quiet place like this and you can connect, it's so much easier than if you're scrolling. It's hard to listen to God when you're scrolling and listening to reels. How can people support the Conservancy? How, other than coming here and participating, how can we donate? How can we support? I'll share a link, of course, of how people can donate. But
so financial support, because you don't pay to come here. You can access all of this amazing space and what we've been talking about, and there's no charge. So it's real fun, because in the chapel I have a little credit card thing. It's called a dip jar, and you can just slide your card in. When you come visit, it's $10 that you give to us. That's great. Online you can make donations. What do we need the money for? So we've got some plans for this late spring, early summer to put a rope railing on the trails. It's very steep. There's been some erosion, so we know that. We're going to fix the grading, but we want to put some rope railing up there.
Nice.
And then We have some improvement plans for the healing garden and just regular maintenance. And the one goal we have with that will not budge is keeping this a first class. Because when you're struggling through life, do you really want to come to a place that's not really being
There's
taken care of?
garbage everywhere.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So we need ongoing support. Attend programs, that would be great. Volunteers, I'd love to get volunteers to help with picking up sticks and things on the trails after a storm, you know.
Oh, sure.
Yep. And the board, I have a spot for a board member. But on top of all of that, which I would welcome, visit and tell people about it. Share your experiences. Let me know what it's like for you to come here. What happens? What do you feel? What are you dealing with? Maybe we've got people that can help you.
Yeah. How can we pray together and hold each other up? Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Come to the Conservancy and bring all of what burdens you. Bring it with you and leave it here. Leave some of it here.
Leave some of it here.
Get
Yeah.
rid of some of the weight.
What would you say would it be a goal for you from a kindness and light perspective? Other than the continuing work here, is there something else that you feel like God is tapping you to do?
To help other people, to share what I know, what I've learned. So people find me. I don't know how they find me, Facebook, whatever. I probably once a week talk to somebody, you know, Arkansas, Washington State. They've been struggling. Their child is struggling. What did you do? Where did you go? And the one thing I was told way at the beginning of this was, you've basically done everything, gone anywhere. You know so much. You can't keep this to yourself. You're going to help other people. So here I am helping other people. I see that for myself. When I learn something, when something works for me, or I want to help more people.
So for you,
through
it's
my
what
suffering.
Yeah, because there was the woman that helped you.
Yes.
That started to make those connections for you, and then you can turn back around,
right,
and pull somebody. Like, we're almost a rope railing for each other.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Right?
Yes.
Because God is good, and God is goodness.
Yes.
And He's in us, He's through us, He's around us.
Yes.
And we can choose a different story that we're telling ourselves, and we can turn off the TV that tells us all this terrible stuff and the algorithms that divide us. And we can get out and look at each other and say, you know, I see you. I'm with you.
Yes.
And that's how we heal the world.
Yes.
Oh,
very good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thanks for being here for another episode of The Funny Kind. We really had a lovely conversation.
Yes.
I can't wait to see where our friendship goes and what happens next. But there are rays of hope out there for you all. So I hope that this season makes them come alive for you. So until next time, thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gummany. Be sure to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the laughs or inspiration. And Erica wants to hear from you. Be sure to reach out if you know of someone Erica should connect with as she continues to take us on a journey to find kindness and light in everyday places.